Hey y'all, it's Michael, and so I thought I would start a new type of video where I'm going to call it What Ya YA, which is young adult, been reading. So let me tell you why I wanted to start this. If you've been following me for quite a while, I actually joined a young adult book club that's provided by the library a while back, and I have actually been in that book club for quite a while, and I got to meet some awesome people in that book club. We had some discussions on some fantastic books that I've was able to read through the book club, and I've actually been missing meetings for the past few months because we used to meet on Fridays, but on Fridays RuPaul's Drag Race would come on, and I always missed the book club because I have to watch RuPaul's Drag Race. Because RuPaul's Drag Race, I want to avoid spoilers, to get back into reading some young adult. And so that is the plan, that we have two books. One is that the official, like the actual people pick it, and then the second one, our mediator Natalie picks it. It's sometimes she picks them just because she wants us to read the book herself, or some sort of correlation to the main book. The first book is actually Lifelike by Kristoff, I believe, and then the other selection that I got from the library, because I'm waiting for the other one, is Dread Nation by Justina Ireland. I heard like a fun actiony adventure type of book, so I'm excited. So what I'll do is, like similar to my other vlog reviews, I'll let you guys know my first reaction, and then some sort in the middle, and then at the end I'll give you an overall type of thought. So let's go. So I'm about to reach the halfway point of this. I'm on page 176, so I thought I'd let you guys know what I think about it so far, and overall I am really enjoying this. This is such a fun, like, cool adventure. This takes place during the Civil War and the North has won, but there are basically zombies running amok within the country. And we follow our main character, Jane. She's enrolled in this school where black girls are trained to become like assassins and fighters to fight against these zombies. I am really enjoying this. At one point, like a few years back, zombie stories were like the craze. You saw zombie stories everywhere. And now it can, that has kind of died down a little bit. But the last like zombie type of story that I've experienced was actually this anime called Kanabeneri. And I thought that reminded me so much of this, because that anime was like feudal Japan cross steampunk cross zombies. It was, while the story wasn't the best and the character development on that anime wasn't the best, just the story and the action and how it melds together was so cool. And this is giving me that vibe. Like it has the way that I am envisioning it in my mind, and in the way that Ireland is describing things, I'm like singing that mind frame, and it's just like this really cool fun adventure. And there's this like sort of mystery slash ominous, like something else is going on besides these zombies, and I'm really liking that. Jane as a it's stormy. Jane as a character, I think is really interesting because these small specks of how black people were treated during this time period, like it's slowly introduced, and like the way that it's almost like these microaggressions done really smart, because it's small increments and it seems like as though it's adding up, and just like the fun adventure, I'm really liking that so far. So I can't wait to reach the end, because it just, something big just happened and I was like, oh, I'm really liking it. Alright, so I finally finished Dread Nation last night. So first off, if you hear any random like booms or explosions, just mind it. It's the military next door and they're testing something. Probably a new weapon. Yeah, I wanted to let you guys know what I thought of Dread Nation first before I go on about my day. Overall, I did like this. I gave it 3.5. I rated it 3 stars on Goodreads. There are some really cool things about this book. First off, I really do enjoy the main character, Jane. I just like, she's such a badass, and I really do like that. And the fight scenes, it was so easy to visualize it in my head, and the way that they fight is so cool. It reminds me a lot of like what I love about shonen animes, like action animes basically. The way that she's fighting like the zombies, there's like that's what it reminds me of. There are some things I didn't like about this book. First off, will it be the second half? Maybe the last part of this. Is it broken up into two parts? The last part I didn't enjoy as much. And that's because they got stuck in an area, and I was just like, oh, okay. And at some point, the mystery, it just becomes very like, oh. But I did like the way that the history is entwined within this world. It's these little nuggets that Jane talks about that I really enjoy, because she would give moments of how discrimination, racism, just all of these things happening back then are still, even though this is like an alternative like world, like a different world, it's still happening. Even though there's zombies now, like there's, even though with zombies people are still being racist, like even with zombies. One thing that really did grind my gears was the writing. There are moments in here where I thought it felt too modern, like too modern, and it really took me out of the experience, because there were some phrases in here that I was just like, would people during that time actually say that? Or I was like, this, it's like, that's from a Drake song. So I just was like, those moments did pull me out of the experience, and it, I just was like, I understand it's a YA novel and a lot of the writing now deals with that, but I was just like, yes, if you read this book, let me know what you think about it. I would love to hear your thoughts, because yeah, I'm excited to see what my book club members say about it, because there are some really interesting things. Like I said, I do want to bring up during the discussion, especially about how it deals with like the racism about it, and like even though it's a zombie filled world, I thought that was like, that's my favorite part. So yes, the next book after that I'm gonna start on, and I have to finish it soon because we're literally meeting tomorrow, and that's Lifelike by Kristoff. I have read his Illuminate, and I really thought that was like so cool, and it was like a fun science fiction book, and I was like, oh my god, this is like, how, I was like, I was on the bandwagon. I didn't read the second one, but I was on that bandwagon when, after I read it, I was like, oh wow, I get why y'all are hyping up this book. Because so I'm on page 300 now, and low-key it's like, what, it's 4 o'clock right now, and I actually go to my book club meeting at 7, so I have about a couple of hours to read the last 100 pages. So I thought I would do like a check-in before I actually do finish it. I can read 100 pages in a good amount of time, so I'll be good. Oh, there's bees. There's bees everywhere. My initial reaction when I first reached the halfway point is that I'm really liking this. I actually have a lot of thoughts on this, and I can see why Natalie picked this to coincide along with Dread Nation. But yeah, this is really interesting. I think it's one of those stories where it feels very familiar, because a lot of the things I feel like I've already experienced it before, but I think it's Kristoff's writing that's really elevating it and making it a little bit special. But I'm really liking it so far, and I'm excited to see where it's gonna go, because I think something big is about to happen, like something big. Alright, so like, what time is it? Okay, so it's about to be 6 o'clock. It's actually 5:55, so I was done in time. Actually, I fell asleep low-key, I'm not gonna lie. I fell asleep because I was tired, and I was like, I'm gonna take a quick little nap, and I did. And I finished this. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I want to collect my thoughts, because this is like a fresh, like, this is how I'm feeling fresh right now. So I need to collect my thoughts before I give my final consensus. But the ending of this, like the last 75 pages, my goodness, like that last check-in that I was like, oh yeah, I feel like something big's about to happen. Yeah, it took everything that I was thinking was gonna happen and literally turned it on its, oh my god, the ending of this had me shook, like literally shook. I was like shaking reading. I was like, oh my god, what? And then, oh, it's. So this is actually the day after the book club meeting, so it's a Saturday now. But let me tell you my final thoughts on Lifelike by Kristoff. This is a post-apocalyptic world where basically humanity is destroyed essentially, and 3 corporations rule the world. It actually takes place in California, where like, hey, there's actually a really cool map on here that I was like, oh, that's neat. As you can see, we follow our main protagonist, Eve, and she's in a little bit of a bind because of something that happened in this like arena where she meets robots, because she finds out that she has a power. Basically, she's on the run as she go visit her grandpa without giving too much away. Well, I really, really like this. I'm excited to read book 2. That's how excited that I am. And apparently that comes out in May, so I will put myself on the library reading list for sure. Everything about it feels so familiar. Eve as a character feels very familiar. Her best friend Lemon feels very familiar. Even the world, like the world building, it's so familiar. Like everything about it's familiar. I mean, it's this post-apocalyptic world. It's desert, dry, kind of like Mad Maxy, kind of. But what I enjoy most about this is that while everything about it is so familiar, so like it's been done before, no shade to Mr. Kristoff, I think what makes this excel, in my opinion, is the storytelling. And that's because the last part of this, as you saw in the previous clip, woo, shook. I really admire how he was able to tell this story because it led me for a loop for sure. I love that the way that it's the font also, like the way it's presented to the reader. I thought that was really cool because when the fonts change, especially like when she starts to have flashbacks, because it's italicized when she has flashbacks, I thought it was really cool because at some point, because the flashbacks are told in first person, the whole other story is told in third person, omniscient. Oh my goodness, I can't speak. But yeah, so it's told in that perspective, and I thought that was really smart. I was like, oh, I see what you're doing here, and I thought it was really good because at some point the memory of the past and the present just goes back and forth, and it was like so cool because like the way it was switching, I was like, oh yeah, that is really, really cool. I also did enjoy how this book talks about the way that like people are classified and how similar to Dread Nations, you can tell about like how people put people in compartments and perceive them and try to put others down. One thing I didn't like about Lifelike was that the writing with some of the terms, I was just like, oh, okay, we can calm it down. Like the way they speak, sometimes there were moments in here, it was just like so cringy. I was like, ugh, it's like cringy. It's like some of the speaking, like some of the dialogue, I was just like, okay. And this is like my own personal thing. You know, us as readers, there are words that we don't like. For me, there are certain words I personally don't like. I don't like the word seepage. I don't like the word moist. One of the words I don't like is the word bestie. Something about the word bestie I do not like. And here it uses a form of the word bestie, which is bestis. And I was just like, I'm not jiving with that word bestis. It felt a little bit forced and it didn't feel, for me anyways, it didn't feel like it didn't feel genuine. It felt like really forced. Some of even the dialogue and some of the more comedic moments, it just was like, and there's a part in here where it's a little bit of a lull, when they get into okay, without giving too much away, there's a part in here where they get into a part where they have to escape out of, and I was just like, But I thought that was just posed nicely because we get flashbacks of the backstory. So I thought that was smart of Kristoff to do. I was like, I guess I see you. Overall, I was like, oh, this is great because I really like Lifelike, and I was like, oh, Dread Nation's like a fun adventure. So yeah, if you read any of these two stories, let me know what you think about it. I would love to hear your thoughts. Until then, I'll see you guys till next time. Bye.